Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this week we have a lot to talk about with the iOS 18 updates coming very soon. iPhone 16 had a design leak, and much more. This is your weekly Apple News update for the week of February 19th, 2024. Now, Apple shared a little bit of behind the scenes of the Super Bowl halftime show. That video apparently was completely shot on iPhone 15 Pro. So I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out, and you can see it here. It's about 10 minutes long or so. Now, just in case you haven't noticed already, I do have a bit of a cold, so I may sound a little bit different, so just bear with me through this video. Now, last week, Peloton actually said it would remove the GymKit support from its devices. GymKit allows you to actually tap your Apple Watch on maybe a treadmill that they have, and then it sort of syncs everything up. They've since said that they were going to remove it and then said they're not going to do that as they had a lot of complaints and reversed the decision. So that's great news if you have a Peloton bike or something else. Now, iMessage will not be opened up in the EU as many thought that it would be. That would allow other apps to work with it, and this is from a report by Bloomberg who says iMessage is not considered a gatekeeper app in the EU and is not widely used enough to fall under the new rules that are affecting sideloading in third-party app stores. And speaking of third-party app stores, Epic Games apparently had their account reinstated by Apple, and they plan to have a new third-party store in the EU later this year, mostly with things like Fortnite and much more. So those of you looking forward to Fortnite coming back to the iPhone, it looks like it will be in the EU, maybe elsewhere a little bit later. However, the EU continues to go after Apple, and this time they're actually working on fining Apple over $500 million for an anti-competitive App Store policy, according to the Financial Times. They're imposing these regulations. You would think that would cover it, but maybe there's some other concerns. But either way, they're actually facing that. Apple has lost another member from its design team this past week, according to Bloomberg. Barry Andre, who's been there for over 30 years, is leaving the company. Apparently, internally, Apple's management is wanting to implement cost-cutting techniques instead of design first, which was causing unrest, and it was time for him to leave, along with many others that have left over the past couple of years. It seems the original Steve Jobs design team is no longer there, but we do have some new people there as well, focusing on design for future products. Today's video is sponsored by Anker. The new Anker MagGo power bank can provide 1.8 times charging to the iPhone 15 Pro with its 10,000 milliamp hour battery, and it charges at 15 watts. It has a smart display to give status of power, and also when it's plugged in, it can tell you how much power or time is remaining to continue charging it on the go. Additionally, it has a built-in stand if you want to use that, maybe for standby mode or something else, and this goes along with the Anker MagGo wireless charging station. I use that a lot at CES, and it allows you to have standby mode on your nightstand, also a travel charger that charges AirPods, your Apple Watch, and iPhone all at once. If we plug it in here, you'll see it's even vented. Then we can place AirPods on it, even an Apple Watch, and continue charging it. So if you want to continue to charge, you have plenty of time to do that, and everything will charge at once. Again, I used this at CES. It was great to use and keeps everything charged up so it's ready to go in the morning. It also can tilt down flat if you want it to do that, if you don't have your AirPods there, and just is super compact and nice on the go. Anker's MagGo chargers are fully compatible with Apple's MagSafe and charge at the full 15 watts. Be sure to check them out with all their latest chargers in the description below. As far as weekly deals this week, while AirPods Pro seem to be on sale again for $189.99, Apple Pencil is even on sale down to $79 for the second generation version. iPad 10th Gen, iPad Air are on sale, and much more. So I'll link all of those in the description, along with the Beats Studio Pro that are still down about $150. If you want to check any of those out, again, I'll link them in the description. Now, when it comes to iOS 17.3 is no longer being signed by Apple. That means we could have a new update soon, whether that's iOS 17.4 or something else, maybe iOS 17.3.2. But seeing how iOS 17.4 is coming out soon, it makes sense that they no longer sign this. This means you can no longer downgrade to iOS 17.3. iOS 17.4 Beta 4 or release candidate is expected as soon as tomorrow at this point. Typically every week or so they'll release around Tuesday or Wednesday. Then we'll have a release candidate. If this week is a release candidate, I would expect the final release to be around the 26th. If it's the fourth beta, I would expect the RC next week with a final release maybe around the 4th or so. So at this point, we don't know 100% as Apple hasn't said, but they do have to comply with the European Union standards that they're putting in place. Also, iOS 17.5 is in testing, and we'll see that soon after the release of iOS 17.4. Now, Apple's been working on iOS 18 for a while. They work on this months in advance, and we'll see the first version typically released to developers in June. However, it's expected to get a lot of AI features. Apple's been buying up AI companies, about 30 this year or so, and they're working on Spotlight AI this time around, it seems, where it's going to fully incorporate that into the OS. We'll also have generative AI features, hopefully something along the lines of what Google does, but directly on the device for privacy, as well as updates to Siri, where it's smarter using that AI, and then updates to RCS. We already know that from Apple, as well as new design updates, hopefully. And Apple's also working on tools within Xcode to help with development using AI. So lots of big changes expected. However, what it looks like yet, we're not sure. Hopefully we'll get some sort of new control center and more. And when it comes to the next version of iPhones, it looks like the iPhone SE4 continues to be in the works and will look something very similar to what we have with the iPhone 13 and 14 models. However, Apple is sourcing displays from those models, and it looks like if you wanted an LCD display in your next iPhone SE, it looks like Apple's going to get rid of that and instead have an OLED display. So that may be a disappointment to some people, but this is according to the elec that Apple's sourcing those displays now. Now with iPhone 16, Apple is planning a significantly updated neural engine this year. This is for the iPhone 16 models to go along with iOS 18's AI functionality mentioned earlier, and according to the Economic Daily News in Taiwan, the upcoming A18 for the iPhone and M4 chips for the Mac will have added cores or possibly new functionality, making them a significant update. Apple's also been working a lot on iPhone 16 designs, and the first camera component actually leaked, showing a new design. A vertical design, which makes sense. The camera bump is expected to be vertical, as I've mentioned before, which would allow you to accommodate spatial videos and photos, and the component was leaked by Majin Buu. He also leaked what was looking like the iPhone 16 Pro model with an odd camera arrangement. But people such as Ian Zelbo has said that this looks more like it's just a placeholder and giving space for what would be there, and showing the camera arrangement, but not necessarily the design. Majin Buu also recently or later on backed that up, saying that it looks like it was just a placeholder for the overall space. So I'm glad it doesn't look like this, but let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Also, you can see the most recent iPhone 16 mock-ups, again shared by Majin Buu, of what the design will be like for the base models. Again with vertical cameras and just sort of milled out of aluminum or aluminium, so you can get an idea of what it would look like so case makers can start making their cases. Additionally, with the iPhone 16, it looks like Apple's going to again introduce new colors. We would expect that, and it looks like we could have a desert yellow or desert titanium, saying that they're closer to cement gray or maybe just a yellow or slightly yellow gold color. So let me know what you think of those colors. I hope they do something like red in the future, even though that's difficult to put on titanium. Now, as far as folding iPhones, well, we know Apple's been testing them for some time, but it seems that Apple has stopped development recently as their supplier failed to pass tests according to the Fixed Focus Digital on Weibo in China. So it looks like they're not going to be making them anytime soon, and I'm not sure there's a huge market for it, as many people see it as a gimmick. I've used it, and I don't really mind them per se, but it doesn't really give an advantage, as you're just folding the same thickness phone into two pieces, making it double the thickness for your pocket. It's great if maybe you have a purse or a backpack you want to throw it into, or a little handbag, but other than that, I think it's a little bit overly large, and I prefer just the slab phone. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, according to a newly found patent, Apple is working on a new sensor for the Apple Watch. It can measure sweat this time around and give general fitness information, or just be used for other functions as well. So you can gain a little bit of information about that and your general health, and it looks like they're working on that new sensor for the upcoming phones and watches. So hopefully with the watch, we'll have some new sensors for the O2 sensor. We don't really know at this point, as Apple had to face these and take them off the shelf in the United States. So maybe we'll see something different in a few months or so. Now, Apple may have a March Apple event. We're hearing this more and more, but we don't have a definitive date. It looks like we'll have new iPads and Macs next month, and the new iPads could be new implementations of iPad Pro. iPad Pro is said to gain an OLED display, and according to the elec this week, Samsung is also working on a new production line to help supply Apple with new OLED panels for upcoming Macs in a few years. So in March, I would expect an update to the iPads, and then also maybe a new Apple Pencil, as well as some new MacBook Airs with M3 processors. However, Macs won't be updated for a while with OLED, as it will be about 2027, according to the recent rumor on that. Now, when it comes to Apple Vision Pro, Apple's been at it for a couple weeks now, as it's only been out for a couple weeks, but it looks like Apple Vision Pro 2, according to Mark Gurman, is at least 18 months away. It makes sense since it's still only available in the United States, so once they roll it out to the world, maybe then we'll see another version. Just like we had the original iPhone and then the iPhone 3G, we could see something like that, where it's a little lower cost, maybe cheaper to produce, and cost less to the consumer. So that's when I think people will maybe start to adopt it a little bit more, but it's hard to say as many people have been returning these or just not buying them in general due to their overall expense. So that's everything as far as the news this week. Lots of news about the iPhone 16 and more. Let me know what you're looking most forward to in the comments below. I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.